It's all planned, this programme, you know. We're talking about Emmanuel Macron's speech, and it's the top story in all the papers today, isn't it, Dipti?
That's right. Everyone's talking about Emmanuel Macron and his speech, a plea for the future of Europe and a vision to transform the bloc into a more efficient, multi-speed union. That was really the crux of his speech, one that Le Figaro, the right-leaning paper, calls ambitious. The paper says there's no one better suited than Macron to relaunching the European project with such, quote, ease, conviction and vision. The paper does call it a risky bet, though, saying one speech alone is not going to be enough to convince skeptical European member states or French public opinion for that matter. But in general, they seem to approve of his speech yesterday. Now, the left-leaning paper Libération says Macron has delivered a polarizing speech in which he condemned the, quote, sad passions of nationalism and sovereignty. But did Macron subscribe to the proverbial French arrogance? That's what the paper is wondering today. Macron, for his part, has said France is only proposing these ideas, not imposing them.
So controversial ideas then, not convincing everybody though, are they?
Not at all. In particular, one person in Libération, a leading French economist who says, quote, Macron's schizophrenia is striking. The economist Benjamin Coriat criticized what he calls an enormous disconnect between Macron's ambitions, between what he said yesterday and the reality of a supposedly failed Europe. What Europe needs is fiscal convergence, a streamlining of minimum wages, which is something that Macron has begun reforming here in France, but in the opposite way. So that's why the economist calls it this sort of schizophrenic attitude from Macron. But the French president does get some support from Les Echos, the business paper. The editors write today that Macron is trying to make France a, quote, star pupil of Europe by leading domestic labor reforms, taxing internet giants, making efforts to rein in the budget, that sort of thing. The editors hail these changes, saying France could even become a sort of test lab for this vision that Macron holds of Europe.
Well, in what seems to be perfect timing, Macron is going to present the 2018 budget. This is at a ministers' meeting today.
That's right. And the timing in particular hasn't escaped Libération. Macron has gone from the spokesperson of Europe, l'héros de l'Europe, as you see on the front page here, with his speech yesterday, to the hero of the rich, l'héros des riches, in this play on words front page from Libération. The paper really takes aim at Macron's plan in particular to reform wealth taxes that would essentially give up to 5 billion euros in savings for the rich. So Macron says the idea is to encourage the rich to reinvest those savings into French businesses, generating income and unemployment, But for Libération, it's a, quote, fiscal gift to the richest people in France. Now, it's an idea that sort of was run in the U.S. many years ago, and it may have worked in the U.S., Libé says, but it didn't really help growth among poorer classes. Macron wants a more social and more willing Europe. That's great, Libé says, but he wants a more liberal and more willing France. That's a contradiction.
Let's go for scandal of the day now. We have to have one every day in the press review. An economic scandal, something that's going to raise a lot of eyebrows. This is the alleged exorbitant trip by the French delegation for the Olympic announcement in Peru earlier this month.
That's right. We know exactly how much France and Paris especially wanted this bid. We know exactly how much effort they put into it. And it appears that they spared no cost in their trip to Peru earlier this month. The website L'Obs quotes an investigation by the website Mediapart, which looked into the lavish trip, which cost around 1.5 million euros for 250 to 320 people. Now, that sum, of course, is footed by taxpayers, and that comes to about 4,500 euros per head. So it's quite a lot. It included a sumptuous meal at Astrid y Gaston, one of the best restaurants in Latin America. They stayed in 5-star hotels, and a special Boeing was even put in place for them to get to Peru.
Worth being on the committee, isn't it? Let's end on a luxurious note, another luxurious note, really. Paris Fashion Week began yesterday. Now, for the first time, ultra-skinny models are not going to be walking down the runway.
That's right. France has really been at the forefront of trying to promote positive body images at Fashion Week, or at least attempting to. Two of France's biggest fashion houses, LVMH and Kering, have banned models who wear sizes smaller than 34. They're also required to present doctor's certificates of good health in order to take part at Fashion Week. Now, on that note, around the optics of promoting positive body images, the street paper 20 Minutes reports that the International Dwarf Show took place yesterday. Here, models only shorter than 1 meter 30 are allowed to take part, and it's part of a move to make fashion more inclusive. We've had transgender models, we've had a model with skin imperfections, even models with Down syndrome. So I say out with the skinny and in with difference.
Quite right, too. Well done. Thank you very much, Tika. Yeah, good to hear about that as well.